The Gap and the Gain, Part Two. Ben Hardy. Ben Hardy's got the idea of the gap and the gain, and it's how we measure ourselves and how we utilize our experiences. And that can be so powerful as to whether we are happy or not. I have my notes from his presentation, so I thought we'd run through those. Enjoy this episode. You know when someone is selling from stage, and at the end, the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy. Okay, here we go. Ben Hardy notes 2CCX Mastermind in Paradise 2023 presentation. How we measure ourselves, how we utilize our experiences. Anytime we're driven by need, you are living in the gap, the future, and outside of ourselves. So you're going to be prone to unhappiness. Entrepreneurs. I would consider myself an entrepreneur right now. Is that an overused term? Who cares? I'm in the entrepreneur space, entrepreneuring. But us entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs, us entrepreneurs who aren't entrepreneurs but say we're entrepreneurs because because it's an overused term, welcome. This applies to all of us. But entrepreneurs tend to be especially susceptible to this. And we are constantly looking at the future and where we're not and how far we've got to go and how we're perhaps failing. And an interesting side note to this, because these things that Ben Hardy talks about help us get rid of that need to succeed. It's that depressive urge that people use to drive them in their businesses, right? Like, I'm failing, so that's what's driving them. I don't want to fail, or I feel like a failure. I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. And so that's the drive. And so the gap and the gain can get rid of that thinking and give you much cleaner, healthier thinking. But people ask this question, and someone asked this question in the presentation. In his presentation, they said, hey, if we get rid of this thing that pulls us forward, what's going to drive us? We won't have success. It doesn't make sense. And he said, in effect, if you clean that up, you have you're actually are a purer channel and are moving from, he might have actually literally said purer channel. Implication being, we're moving from source. It's that pure source energy that's pulling us forward. It's like pure inspiration that we're moving from, which can be a lot more powerful. So have that in the back of your head as I'm plowing through these notes. Let's see what we've got here. Anytime you are driven by need, you are living in the gap, the future outside of us. So am I in the gap or the gain? If you're in the gain, you measure yourself from where you were before. There we go. That's it. You measure yourself from where I was before and how do I feel about where I am sitting right now. So where I was before and how am I sitting right now compared to that? And I can choose to be happy right now and expand that happiness. That's his theory. I love it. Then he gave us something to journal. And he basically said, hey, over the last 10 years, where were you and where are you now? Looking at it from what you've learned, how far you've come. All right. And I wrote a bunch of stuff. One thing I wrote was, I'll challenge you. Hit pause right now, take 5 minutes and go write how far you've come over the 10 years, like where you were before, where you are now. Pause. All right, welcome back. Here's what I wrote. I have learned to process emotion in such a good way. Boy, I cried it out. I have an open heart. I don't need nearly as much validation to feel good about myself. I have I've passed on amazing learning lessons to my sons, and I've gotten validation of that, which has been incredible. How can I be of service? I'm even at more levels of thinking and praying on and working from how can I be of service? How can I be of service to universe, God, what have you? Like that's the main motivator. New levels of forgiveness. Man, over the last 10 years, I've learned new levels of forgiveness. Okay, what did you write? Did you find some freedom there? Do you have some new awareness, some new gratitude? Okay, then he had us write over the last year from April 1st, April 3rd of last year till April of this year. What have you learned? So I have, hit pause, go write that down, and then come back. 5 minutes, go. All right, welcome back. I have learned, what did I write? I've learned the funnel hacker language. I can travel anywhere and get my story with my kit. I built this amazing kit within the last year. So powerful. I am so good with people. I've gotten, I feel like better with people. My older son and I are getting along amazingly. I've gotten so much better at telling stories. Oh my gosh! In the last year, I've gotten so much better at telling stories. I've gotten very good on the mic. Although as you're listening to this, you might disagree. Okay, and then he had us do 4 months. You're back. We're gonna do 4 months. Take 5 minutes and write down how far you've come in 4 months relative to where you were 4 months ago to where you are today. So that's Jan 1. So from the beginning of the year until today. All right, hit pause, go do it. Okay, you're back by now. Here's things that I have. I had this incredible breakthrough guest speaking on a show that's inspired me to do a bunch more of it. I'm more or less convicted on how I add value with what I'm doing in this new entrepreneuring arena I'm in. I'm good at seeing confirmations of learning. That's another thing. I've been working on that. Okay, great. Hit pause and go do it for this week. What have you learned this week? Welcome back. Let's see what I saw better how to frame what I do. I'm trying to read my notes. I have pressed forward in spite of a little opposition. Love that. I was able to fully be on my own. Oh, yeah, fully able to be on my own. Like, like I'm totally content with myself. Don't need a relationship or don't need a ton of friends. I love friends. I'm not saying I don't want friends or whatever. What I'm saying is totally okay being with Mischa. Um, I can talk about the story in a new way. Oh, the Stacy story in a new way. I'm not sure exactly what I mean with that. I've got a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to leave it at that. And then he had us do it for the day. Like, hit pause and go take a few minutes and write your gains for today. And then I'm going to end with this. This is the end of the notes pretty much. He said, if you have a better past and you will have a bigger future. So what this reframing does is it makes your past better, which allows you to have a bigger future. Oh, yes. And this was his thing. Here's my last assignment for you. My last thing is what he told us to do, which I'm going to try to do to work into my journaling. I will report back on it at some point. At the end of the day, write down 3 wins / 3 forms of progress. So what were for the day, what were 3 wins, what were 3 forms of progress that you had, that I had, that I can point to and say, Yep, I'm a different person because this happened. And we're always different. We're always growing, right? And then also write down 3 things I want to accomplish tomorrow. Okay. So at the end of the day, write down 3 wins, 3 forms of progress. I believe those are the same thing. And then 3 things I want to accomplish tomorrow. And then don't beat yourself up tomorrow if you don't accomplish those things. You will see the other wins. Okay, I'm out. Thank you for listening. This has been a ton of fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.